Well, there's a lot of universal truths out there in life, and whether you're playing Magic the Gathering around the kitchen table or you're trying to read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, which I recommend doodling with purpose, or you're being judged by the bird court of law, whoever you are, whatever you're doing in life, you cannot escape the long metal robotic arm of the law. And this is absolutely true for the toy industry. There is no get out of jail free card. Well, I mean, there are two of them in Monopoly, but I mean, in real life for toys, there is no. You don't get guaranteed space at retail. My name is Scott Toy Guru Neitlich. I've been in the toy industry for, well, longer than I can count on one hand. And I'm also a lifetime collector, and that's given me a very unique perspective on the toy industry. And it's a big reason I started this channel was to share thoughts, opinions, threats, whatever comes to mind. And I wanted to talk a bit about when toys are left out of retail, when they get kicked out. And, well, a lot of it is tied into the planogram. I know, I've talked about planograms till I'm blue in the face. Can you actually get blue in the face? Like, if you hold your breath, like, will you actually turn blue like a Smurf? I don't know. I'm not going to try right now. But I've made a lot of videos about this. I've talked about how planograms dictate price points. That, in toy design, toys are designed based on price points of planograms. So there's a lot tied into the planogram and the way toys are merched, as it's said, at retail. And this is regardless of the type of toy. Every aisle you go to, especially in a big box store, now that we have fewer and fewer toy stores, obviously mom and pop toy stores don't have to follow this. They can put stuff wherever they want. But a big box store, corporately owned, chain, etc., they have to follow a planogram. And they do this because it helps shoppers shop, but it also helps the big box store understand whether or not the SKUs are earning their keep. And this isn't just for the toy aisle. This is for every aisle. Well, except for, things like toilet paper and food. They have a much higher velocity rate because they're expected to be bought constantly. Toys, stationery, all of that. There is a formula for success at retail. And if it's not something that's expected to be bought daily or, weekly, again, like food or toilet paper or jelly beans, well, I guess jelly beans count as food. Either way, other aisles, one item per week per peg tends to be the rule. It's not universal for every aisle, but I will tell you for the toy aisle, this is pretty much what the expectations are, which is why if a collector comes in and buys an entire thing, a case pack right away, it's like we want to send that person straight to robot hell. And, well, what is the robot hell of the toy aisle? It's the clearance aisle. That's where toys basically go, not necessarily to die, because they're hopefully going to make it into a child's playroom or a collector's shelf at a low, low price, but it's basically a retailer's attempt to get product that does not sell well off the shelf as soon as humanly possible. They call it being delisted. That's the actual industry term for when a toy goes from being on a planogram to being off a planogram. And the quickest way to get it off a planogram is to clear it out. So when does this happen? When are the finals? When's all the judgment of how a toy is performing done by the stores? Well, it's basically holiday season. It's November through January is when they really look at how is a toy performing. I mean, it's earlier than January. I mean, that's when the sales end. But it's basically the holiday season, and, well, okay, in all fairness, probably creeps back to September, October, when it's really looked at how is a toy selling. And then it can climax in the holiday season, expecting that there's going to be a natural sort of bell curve where things go up for the holidays, but an item better be selling on its own. Now, it's not always holiday that determines whether or not toys stay in the aisle. I remember in particular, Men in Black 3 toys were on clearance before the movie even came out. And part of that was the buzz about the movie and that it wasn't going to do so well, and it didn't do so well. And because of that, the toys got put on clearance even before the movie had time to not perform. And when a toy line is tied to content that doesn't perform well, they want to get that toy out of the aisle as soon as possible in order to replace it with something that's going to sell better. Hey, everyone wants to make money. We live in a capitalist society. It's the way the economy works. All right, so if you're looking for a sign of whether your favorite toy line is doing well and is going to survive the holiday season or go to the toy guillotine, well, there are ways to understand this. One is are they already being clearanced out? A lot of toys are clearanced out pre-holiday season in order to, again, make room for toys that sell better and to sort of trim the planogram. I mean, yeah, sometimes it's a giant laser that explodes things, but other times it's a light pruning. So the judgment of toy lines is basically done based on sales. I mean, it's 100% based on whether or not it sells. When does it actually get the punishment? That's in February. February is not only when Toy Fair is for the industry, but it's when shops reset. So all of the major stores, usually about the second week of February, that's when they kick out the toys that are basically not invited back, and the planogram resets. So, sitting at home in your toy room, you might ask,
what can I do? I'm just one man.
Well, now is the time. Basically, everything is judged based on sales. So if you still have a gift to buy a child or a friend or, a karate partner, buy them a toy that you collect. You're trying to get that person into that toy line because the more a toy line sells, well, it's heavily watched. And that's really the only factor that goes into whether or not it's going to remain on the planogram past the February reset. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to get pruned. And the toy industry, or rather the retailers, do look at more as, sort of putting a poor performing item out of its misery because they don't want to keep it on shelf if it's not selling. They want the best of the best. They want toys that are going to sell and fly off the rack, like, Cabbage Patch Kids did back in the day. Yes, I'm dating myself. Okay, so can a toy line come back to retail after it's been kicked out? Well, obviously, yes. Something like Masters of the Universe Origins is a perfect example of that. We tried to sell classics to retail, but classics wasn't, or rather retail said no, because the 2000X line, which had preceded classics, didn't do well. And if you want to understand a timeline, the last time He-Man toys were at retail before Origins, they included VHS tapes in them. So there's food for thought. So yes, it takes retail a long time to sort of get over the hump of a line underperforming. This line underperformed, Classics wasn't invited into retail and was sold online. Another good example is Marvel Legends. When the license went from Toy Biz to Hasbro, the first few waves did not meet expectations, as they say in the corporate boardrooms and all the spreadsheets. But the figures came back and they're better than ever. So yes, you do get a second chance, but it takes time. Again, the VHS example for He-Man, showing how long it takes sometimes for a brand to be welcomed back with open arms. So as we are wrapping up the holiday season and starting with, pre-holiday sales all the way through the post-holiday, January, after Christmas, spend all of your gift card sale, because if you got a gift card, you better come in and spend it. This is when the judging happens. And it's all about sales. And in February is when the guillotine drops. Well, obviously the decision before then, but that's when we'll all see it. So look to your favorite toy aisle in February. And if you see your favorite toy back, it survived, it made it. If it didn't, well, try to enjoy the holiday spirit and become one with the joy of toys. Happy holidays, everyone. Hope you have a great 2021 wrap-up. And if you like this video, share it with others. It helps the channel. It tells YouTube to share it around. It's all part of the algorithm. Sharing is caring. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys in the comment section. What toy line are you hoping will not get cut in February? I'd like to hear. Please say Fortnite.